The harsh truth is that there is reverse McCarthyism going on in the entertainment industry. The evidence is there's nobody booked. That's the evidence. There's nobody booked 2 weeks away.
They don't want to play for Donald Trump. This is a republic. You are not summoned to perform for the king or for the dictator. In some places, if Kim Jong-un calls you to sing, you better show up.
Celebrities refusing to participate in the Trump inauguration is getting plenty of attention. And joining me now, Nancy Giles, a contributor for CBS News 60 Minutes, and
Sunday morning.
Ooh, see,
That's
look,
all
I
right.
just read what was in front of me. It was wrong. Randall Pinkett, winning contestant on season's NBC's Apprentice, fourth season, which of course was hosted by one Donald J. Trump. Thank you all for being here.
Thank
and now
you.
I have added you to other shows. And so
I love it.
Collect your check. So I'm going to come to you first, Nancy, on this. I'm sorry, it's a bit of schadenfreude, I'm sure, of people on the left that Donald Trump cannot pull celebrities the way Barack Obama did, or really even the way George W. Bush did for his inauguration.
I know.
But is there anything to this idea put forward? Let's give him a break.
The Bill O'Reilly idea?
They're not. It's not that they don't want to perform for Donald Trump. It's that they're afraid that somehow the left will destroy them.
No, there's nothing to it. And who would have ever thought in the history of my life I'd be sitting here with the two of you saying I agree with Charles Krauthammer?
Indeed.
All right, so that's really weird. No, Bill O'Reilly is locked in the 50s, where at that time the studio heads did have a lot of power, and there were fears of being on the wrong list or being accused of being a communist, and people did lose work and they did control their talent. Now, come on, the stars control things way more than the studios do, and it's a funny thing. If you start your campaign by saying Mexicans are drug dealers and rapists, if you say things to black people like your lives are hell, your schools, you know, what do you have to lose? If you say really mean things about women, about grabbing their body parts and saying that that's all right, yeah, it might really offend people and make them not necessarily want to lend their talents to your presidency. Yeah. It's weird, isn't it?
Who'd have thunk it? It's very strange.
Yeah.
You know, but Randall, you know, the other spin coming out of Trump world is that Donald Trump doesn't want those people. He wants the people. He wants Jackie Evancho. I think I pronounced her name wrong before. He wants Jackie Evancho because she's the movement. Do you, knowing Donald Trump, having worked with Donald Trump and been on the show with him, do you think it's legit that he really doesn't care whether celebrities show up to his inauguration?
Oh, no, no, no. Donald ego is damaged right now. It's bruised, and it's an ego that could fill a room, right? So there's no mystery that Donald wants the biggest, baddest, most glorious, most famous inaugural celebration, and that he's got to be fuming right now. And what I've heard is that, as we know, Mark Burnett is producing the inauguration, and that Mark
produced The Apprentice,
and that he brought in Suzanne Bender, a former Dancing with the Stars and American Idol producer, at the last minute to basically put off a Hail Mary to try to get some celebrities to sign on because they've had such a difficult time doing it. So I know for a fact Donald's ego feeds off celebrity. It fed off The Apprentice, it fed off Celebrity Apprentice, and Donald is not happy with where things stand.
And really quickly to stay with you for a moment, what do you think he's blaming it on? Do you think that Donald Trump is capable of admitting that maybe the kind of campaign he ran and the attacks on all these groups offend people in the arts community who have lots of LGBT people and people of color, et cetera, in it?
Yeah, I don't think Donald will give the entertainment community the credit they deserve, from the standpoint that I think people are really standing on principle. And you could look at the opportunity that they might have to gain favor with Donald. We've seen that with the auto industry.
Sure.
And for them to decline, in my opinion, when the opportunity to perform at the inauguration has always been considered an honor. To decline that means you must be standing on principle, because you could have incredible publicity.
Absolutely. And Nancy, you know, what do you think it says on the other side of it, that there has been so much cohesion in the arts community in opposing Trump?
I'm happy to hear that. It gives me hope, because it's been a very hopeless kind of time for me since the election. And I'm glad to know that people that are creative and people that are open and want to express themselves and create art and move this world forward in many ways are united against hateful speech.
Yeah.
At the very least, even if it turns out that he doesn't believe anything that he said, he still ran his campaign on smut, basically, smack, and that don't play with the arts.
Yeah, indeed. And you know, and I have to ask you before we go, Randall, there's been a big sort of to-do about Talladega's marching band. This was a historically black college that their band was supposed to perform. There are a lot of alumni that are not happy about it. It's a lot in my social media feed. The college president, Billy Hawkins, has said the school hadn't decided. Do you know whether they're going to perform?
The last report I got was that the Talladega marching band will perform at the inauguration. There was a big debate amongst alumni and students, many on the side of saying the school should not perform because it would give the appearance of support of the president, which is really the big issue we're talking about.
Yeah.
And the last report I heard is Talladega will perform.
Wow.
Well, we shall see, because there's not going to be a lot of them. There are no GC bands, which is very interesting. Nancy Giles and Randall Pinkett, thank you both.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.
Trump. Is Kanye West going to be part of the festivities that you're planning?
No.
No, okay.
Kanye and Donald are good friends. Donald's a great admirer of Kanye, as we all are, but he's not performing at the inauguration.
So you've been in charge of the planning. I know you've been raising a lot of money, up to $75 million to finance all the things. You got 4 days planned. How is the planning going?
The planning's going great because I'm the best concierge and baggage claim person that you can imagine. It's complicated, right? An inauguration is a tribute to the office. It's a tribute to democracy. It's a tribute to the only peaceful transfer of partisan politics that ever happens this way in the world. So it starts on Tuesday and it ends basically on Saturday morning with a cadre of very complicated events. But we're hosting a couple million people on site in Washington. 150 million people watching on TV during those events, and within that week, 300 or 400 million people watching around the world. So it's quite an event.
And you're planning a lot of it. You've been working also with Mark Burnett, who knows Donald Trump very well, obviously producer of The Apprentice, the creator. What is Mark Burnett doing? Because we all know he knows how to produce a reality event, of which this is going to be one of the biggest ones Donald Trump, or the biggest one Donald Trump will ever be a part of.
Look, we have a great group of Donald's visionary friends, Mark Burnett and Steve Wynn, and they bring a vision to silos of events and then produce them. So Mark has a great chemistry with Donald. He knows him well. They did this for 10 years.
Yeah.
And so he's taking one night with Stephanie Winston Wilcox, who's one of the great event planners of the world, a relentless, incredible woman. But the details of all this are amazing, right? So the smallest dinner is 400 or 500 people. The largest dinner is 22,000.
22,000.
Yeah,
Wow.
And we have 3 of them at one time. So being a party planner is very difficult. It's better than a cabinet job because it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. But to do it seamlessly and then to produce it for TV. So it's different than just having a production, as you know,
Right.
than having TV. And at the same time, everybody's working on the transition. The president's last choices have been awesome, and I think he's done it with considered and thoughtful acumen. So it's a lot going on at one time. But this administration, by December, will have filled 80% of the most important jobs, which is far ahead of any other administration.
So in terms of the numbers, they've filled a lot. I don't know if you just heard as we were coming into the commercial, Trump, well, today obviously announced 2 more picks, right? You got state, you got interior. Both of them are white men, so now you've got all 4 of the most influential cabinet jobs. If you look at attorney general and state, defense and treasury, all white men. President Obama, there was a woman in there was an African-American. George W. Bush, Colin Powell was on that list. Is this an issue for Trump?
Zero issue. Look, first of all, previous administrations had gigantic reservoirs of qualified candidates from which to choose. So if you looked at Hillary could have chosen from a legion of President Obama's previous picks who were qualified, who were confirmable, who were interested, who were available and had some experience. President-elect Trump started from scratch saying, I'm going to find a reservoir of people who know how to use the system but are not of the system, and started from point zero. So the idea was start in the main jobs with the most qualified people. Diversity, obviously an issue across the fabric of the tapestry, but at the beginning, getting those beginning jobs is getting the best qualified people. So, and it's happened. I mean, Steve Mnuchin is an unbelievably safe set of hands and very, very smart, dedicated loyalist at Treasury. Wilbur Ross at Commerce. Rex Tillerson, I think, is a dream pick. And all of this all of his controversy around his relationship with Russia is you need experienced warriors, warriors who know where the hardware is, who know what the subtlety of a cultural sixth sense is, who know what the issues on a historic basis have been, who are free of a bureaucracy. So you happen to pick in this man, by chance, an organization that's bigger than the State Department. Right? The State Department has a budget of $65 billion. ExxonMobil is $590 billion in assets, $65 billion in revenues, 50 countries around the world. This man has negotiated, been a diplomat, run a business, and has relationships with all of those people, which is only to the benefit. He's not setting policy. Congress is really setting policy.
Right.
So it's a great opportunity. And people who think, why is Russia the enemy? You need Russia to solve the Middle East crisis. You need them to respect the United States, but you need somebody who understands how to glean and harvest that respect. So I think you have to wait until this president has filled out his cabinet and then look at the menu of diversity and say, was that properly
So quickly
done?
before we go on, John McCain, who seems very much against Rex Tillerson, says Vladimir Putin is a butcher, he's a murderer, he's a thug. Wrong?
I don't know, but it's irrelevant. You have to deal with him. Is that a statement of saying we're not going to deal with him, we're going to go to war with Russia? I don't think that's a very knowledgeable or profound way to look at the world. Donald Trump is a deal maker. He's going to find places that he can adjust honorably and make deals, and I think he's done a great job.